Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and it's a ladies' day today. We are missing a couple of the regulars. Myra J is under the weather. Stephen Hill is under travel challenges. So we will sally forth and with our Wednesday youngin. Hello, Kwyn Townsend Riley. How are you?
Oh, I am doing good. How are you guys?
Good, good. And as always, my cohort, my partner in all of this is Yolanda Starks White, and Yolanda is joining us today. How you doing, Yo?
I'm okay, Sybil, but I'm looking forward to sallying forward.
Fourth, yeah, we
Forth.
sally forth. Yeah,
Sally forth.
yeah,
I'm
Sally
looking
forth.
forward to that, whatever that is.
Even though you're Yolanda, you're okay with Sally forth.
Well, I figured it must be something if you said it.
Okay, it's something. You're right. Well, I'm glad you all are here. Kwyn, how are things with you? I know you were traveling.
Yeah, I went to DC this past weekend. I was meeting up with a friend, a good friend, a sweet friend. Y'all ever meet? Well, y'all are best friends and in love with each other. So y'all know when you meet somebody that's just amazing. And that's my girl Cece. She's also a poet, a Zeta, a sweet soror sister of mine from the Bay Area in California. And she created this group called Melanin and Mimosas. And so she
Mm.
invited me as well as three other brilliant Black femme-identified folks to be core organizers and pretty much help her bring this baby to a different level up.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really excited, looking forward to all the events we're going to bring to the DMV area. And then we went to Busboys and Poets. We went to Alfred Street Baptist Church, with Pastor Howard John Wesley. It
Yeah.
feels so good being back up in a real church with like a real choir and like
Yes,
getting up in the spirit. I was like, oh, thank you, Jesus, because I've been hungry for a real
oh,
church.
man, that's awesome.
And so it was good. I just really love DC. Like DC is
It's
amazing.
it's calling your name. Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
long of a drive is that for you?
It's a 2 hour and 45-minute drive. That's only because I don't do any tolls. But if I paid the express toll, it'll be 2 hours flat.
And how much are the tolls?
I don't know.
What
I
is
never
it?
paid them.
What
So
does it equate to? What if it equates to $4?
I mean, $4 can get you a cheeseburger and maybe a small fry. In my in my line of work, $4 can get you some other than $4 and pay for a little couple lash refills. So I don't know. But
she's got a point there.
I guess one day I'll just have to push it and just pay the $4.
Okay, for purposes of the show, expense it.
Yeah.
We're curious, and so just go there and expense
Yes.
it. We'll pay for it just to see what you're saving.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll hold you to it. 'Cause I'm
I
about to
love the way she spends our money. I really does. It used to be she would just spend my money. Now she's spending the company money, and it could be a nice little set of change. But okay, for just
$4 for a toll. Yes.
Well, I
just
mean, if so Sybil, if
for
it's $4,
information purposes.
what for $4 as opposed to 45 minutes? Do you realize how much Law and Order you can watch in 45 minutes?
As one who does not and has not become addicted to Law and Order, no, I don't. But that's a big chunk out of a Hallmark movie, so I get it.
See?
Okay,
Oh, that
okay,
is true.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right, ladies. As I mentioned, Myra J. Hopefully will return next week, and hopefully Stephen Hill as well. Young Kwyn is with us, and so we are going to continue our show as we do normally. Kwyn is our LGBTQ plus contributor, and Kwyn, you have a story in the What You Need to Know newsletter talking about this issue specifically. What do you have?
Yeah, so in 2009 at Yeshiva University in New York, students formed the Pride Alliance. And so this is a LGBTQ student organization at this university that was formed in 2009. However, the school has failed to recognize the organization since then. And so, what do I mean by the school has failed to recognize it? That means the students have not been able to secure funding. The students have not been able to have events on campus. The students have not been able to actually have membership outside of their founding members that originally created the group.
Mhm.
So they've just been experiencing lots of disenfranchisement. However, recently they took their case to court. And in June 2021, a New York State judge ruled in favor of the students, declaring that Yeshiva is not a religious institution, although Yeshiva University is a modern Orthodox Jewish school.
Yeah.
But
So
it is not a religious institution.
Okay.
So a religious, to separate or to distinguish the two, a religious institution is really like, and I provide this example in there, but a Catholic social services agency has the right to refuse to work with same-sex couples because they are a Catholic social services agency, and it's in their mission, it's in their charter, it's in their documents as, LLC and incorporation. But a university that says within their mission, like, they want to provide education, they want to provide knowledge, to the world on top of global scale. It doesn't actually align, with the same type of lexicon or language as the religious institution. So therefore, a university does not have the right to turn away a student organization just because it doesn't align with their cardinal.
Wow. So I've always thought of Yeshiva as being an Orthodox Jewish school. So it's not like a Brigham Young for a School of Latter-day Saint students, or it's not like a Catholic University there in the Washington, D.C. area. That's interesting. Yes. And surprisingly enough, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the LGBTQ organization.
Exactly. So on Wednesday, January 17th, 2023, so last week, the Supreme Court said that it would let stand for the time being the June ruling of the New York State judge. And it was 5-4, which, of course, with Justices Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and is it Gorsuch or Gorsuch?
It's Gorsuch. Some people pronounce it as suck, but yeah, it's Gorsuch.
Gorsuch and Barrett all dissented. And they had comments in their dissenting opinion that I read, what you alluded to as well when we talk about the difference between religious institutions and universities, but also how a lot of people that are conservative feel as if there is a leftist agenda going on with higher education institutions, where they feel as if at first universities used to be like this safe space, for all thoughts. But now lots of conservatives and like far right-wing folks feel as if universities have adopted lots of DEI, lots of social justice, and it's just leaning more towards the left instead of actually being a balanced type of place. Right. And so it's just interesting that, with situations such as this, and this is the first high-level case that I've seen. There's lots of cases going on with universities saying like no to this housing or like no to this type of paper or, whatever. But this is the first time with the student organization. So
very interesting.
So, just go back a little bit so I can understand it. What specifically do they want?
The students wanted their organization to be recognized by the university. So that means
why is that important?
Because they will be able to get funding as a student organization. They want to be able to have events.
So get funding, for example, like what organization gets funding for what? Just give me an example.
Like, student organizations, they need funding for food for their events. If they want to go to conferences, if they want to bring a speaker on campus, if they want to create t-shirts, if they
maybe even for insurance purposes too, when they have events.
And that comes from the school, that doesn't come from the organizers?
No, all student organizations at university, they can apply for funding. When students pay their tuition, majority of that money goes for their whole entire student experience: housing, org, work, Greek life, food, the whole nine. So student organizations get their money from inside when they want to go ahead and do something. So the fact that they weren't recognized means that they had just no opportunity to actually exist as an org on campus. And I also read just now too that Yeshiva has now suspended all student organizations from doing anything until they figure out how to move forward.
That's the way to do it. Yeah, that makes sense.
So why did they deny them this? Why?
Because they're Orthodox Jewish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
And so that's what the Supreme Court case. That's why they took it to the Supreme Court, because they're saying, "Hey, we have these religious values," and the Supreme Court's like, "Yeah, but you're not a religious institution. You're not a church. You don't have that type of that freedom to say no. As a state institution, you have to abide by." And New York City has this human rights law, which does not discriminate. And so they have to go ahead, and adhere to that.
All
See,
right.
this is so interesting, and especially when you're talking about the separation of church and state, which there's a large contingent that wants it, and there's a large contingent that says, nah, not so much. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out, and how all the other organizations will respond to this now that they have been disbanded or put on hold until they get it all figured out.
I'm hoping that all the students will want to come together and recognize that all of this is unfair,
Right.
And see that this sort of like response from the university is just wild when they could just recognize them. Because I don't understand what the harm is to the university saying, hey, you guys can exist, put up your flyers, do whatever, but we're still going to preach what it is that we want to preach. So I don't know why they saw it as the issue to not let them just be. So I don't know, but it's all about money, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if students start withdrawing because they are not, their organization are not allowed, you hit them in the pocket, then that's going to make some big noise.
That's where they should have hit them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, good job. Good job. Also, this is in our What You Need to Know newsletter. Kwyn contributes stories during the week at the What You Need to Know newsletter. It is absolutely free, the subscription to it. So please go to sybilwilkes.com to subscribe. Give us your name and your email address, and it'll be in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And you can join us Monday through Thursday here on Facebook and YouTube Live to discuss it, this story, such as Kwyn's. Also, we have a number of other subjects that we work with and work on throughout the week. Social justice with Coy Malone, mental health and wellness with Aprilette Russell, and politics with a young fellow that Kwyn is familiar with, and that is Cameron Riley. And he talks politics, as do I. Yeah. So Cameron talks about the attempt by the Biden administration not to sign an executive order regarding assault weapons, but a ban on them, but making it a law. So this is bringing both the House and the Senate together in hopefully passing this assault weapons ban. And the timing could not be better when you look at what happened in this country this past weekend into the week, and the number of mass murders that were a result of assault weapons, army style weapons that people are able to buy. People 18 and older are able to buy. So there are a couple of things that they're trying to change. First of all, the age at which someone can buy an assault weapon, move that age from 18 to 21, give a little bit maturity on the part of those who want to buy. And also regarding the type of, not just the weapon itself, but there are parts of the gun that you can change to make it an assault weapon. And so they want to stop the selling of these items in order to advance or to hype up your piece of weaponry. This is a bill that obviously a lot of people are very interested in stopping the NRA, namely, and Second Amendment backers. But it's not about stopping people from owning guns. That's the Second Amendment. You're allowed to do that. It's the type of gun. And the type of gun that they want, the assault weapon, the rapid fire guns, is not something that we need. Well, what about hunting? Well, if you need to have an assault weapon to kill an animal, you need some better lessons. You need to do some more practicing in order to have this. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But as I mentioned, the age thing, moving it from 18 to 21, the irony is that the most high profile mass murders that took place this week were not by young white men. They were by older Asian men. Yeah. One is 72. The other that did the Half Moon Bay shootings or is accused of it is 66. Yeah. So it's not a question of, even being able to cool off a little bit and the all of the adrenaline and hormones and stuff that are known to work their way and kind of pull the trigger, if you will. For lack of a better term. But now it's showing that it's kind of like, well, is this 18 to 21 change? Is that going to make a big deal when you have people and a lot of sheriff's associations? Quinn, in our home state of Illinois, they have this assault weapon ban. It's been signed by the Democratic governor, but there are counties all over the state that are taking this to court, and including the sheriff's associations. They said they're not going to follow the ban. They're not going to abide by it, which is crazy.
I'm really curious about what the opposing view is on stuff like this, because it's just that it doesn't make any sense to me, especially because we talk about age a lot on here and like how they're raising the age from 18 to 21, but we also talked about how there's bills where we don't even allow 18-year-olds or people that are under the age of 21 to get any type of hormone related therapy, but they're old enough, to hold a gun. Right. But I would hope that with all these mass shootings that it would be much more universally applicable, that it would be something that everybody would want to see into. But I don't know why there are some people who really are against this. Like, this is really confusing to me.
Well, let's talk about the bottom line, because first of all, most conservatives don't like to be told what to do, except when it comes to a woman's body. They like to tell women what they cannot do with their bodies, but they don't like to be told about their handguns or, a number of other things. And the NRA is about making money and making money for gun shop owners and people like that. So, and the gun companies, if they're not allowed to sell, if they make it a law to sell the assault weapons, they're going to lose a lot of money.
So that's the issue.
The bottom line, okay. From my perspective, that it's you follow the money.
Okay.
And that's
conservatives are contrarians. They're just
literally the conservatives are full of contrary ideas because it just doesn't seem to me that a company that or a country where you have a group of people that want to tell you, a woman, what to do with her body, what she can do with her body, but you can't tell me not to own a gun.
Yeah. I've never even held a gun. I don't plan to. I don't enjoy going to a gun range. I can see why some people do it. No shade. But for me personally, I guess just coming from Chicago, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to experience that for me.
Because you're such a pacifist. You are, you're strong in your convictions, but your heart is that of a pacifist. You're nonviolent. You want, and this is no shade on you, but you're looking for that kumbaya kind of, and Yolanda too, that kind of agreement and people come together and sharing of love and ideas, not necessarily using a weapon to change someone's mind, right?
Yeah. And I know people from both sides of the gun, like especially being from Chicago. So it's just like, I don't.
And Chicago is leading in terms of the number of murders, not from a demographic standpoint, but certainly one of the leaders on street crime. Absolutely.
Kwyn, I'm with you. I just don't understand why you need a gun, period. I know that was when early on when I got married, that was a big deal with my marriage because my husband likes guns for whatever reason. He likes guns, and so my big thing was, okay, well, you can like them, but not in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so he likes guns in the house. And it's like, okay, so here's the deal. I don't ever want to see it. So you can figure out a way that I don't ever want to even see it. And so I would say last year I went on a trip, and when I came home, he had the gun laying out on the nightstand.
Wow. Welcome home, honey.
I almost moved, Kwyn. And you've seen my house. You know how I live. It's like, wow, but I feel the same way. And it's like, I even had to get used to the notion that there's a gun in the house and me not even knowing where it is. I had to get used to that, but I wanted to be with him, so I put up with the gun. But I feel the same way.
That's one of the stories that's in the What You Need to Know newsletter, and certainly generate a lot of discussion. Also, another treasure trove of secret documents, classified documents found this time in the home of former Vice President Mike Pence. So take a look at that story. And one of the things that we also, I'm very proud of our association with the Black and Missing Foundation. That is a weekly occurrence in the newsletter. And today they are putting out the call for anyone who knows anything about the disappearance of Tamika Newsome. She's been missing since January 5th, the 35-year-old woman from Los Angeles, California. If you take a look at her picture in the What You Need to Know newsletter and say, gosh, she looks familiar, where, and if you're in that area and perhaps you've seen her, would love for you to go to the Black and Missing Foundation and give some information to them. That is in the newsletter along with other things. So please subscribe. We'd love to have you be a part of the What You Need to Know news crew, and it is still free. And we appreciate that. All right. So let's move to the What's Going On section and our question of the day. The question of conversations between generations has come within the walls of our little organization. And Yolanda, why don't you set this up for us?
Okay, so be patient with me. Okay, so I thought that we have a situation within our organization, Yossi Media, where we have multi-generational. Is that the new word that we're calling it? Multi-generational. And so where it's really old school and new school. And so those of us that operated, that have worked in old school, we work a certain way. We put our nose to the grindstone, and we just go in. And whatever people do, we just kind of take it or what have you. New school don't put up with anything, it seems. And so what we are so quick to say, oh my God, they're just so sensitive, toughen up. Oh my God. And I'm the leader of that. I am very irritated by young people where they're so sensitive, you can't say anything to. And so I am conflicted because in the company that Sybil and I have created, our goal was to create an environment where people will come and they would love coming to work. And I said, because almost every organization that I have worked with, everybody has been miserable and bitched, I'm sorry, Sybil, and complained a lot about their work environment. And I said, if I ever had a company, I just didn't want that. I just didn't want to be a dictator and say, this is what you do and you're getting a check for it, go home. I really do care about people and how you feel and what's going on with you. At the same time, I don't really care. It's not that I don't care. I need the work done. So there is a balance that I have to really, really walk. And so we have come across this in our company, and I want to be more sensitive to young people and how sensitive they are. So I asked Kwyn if she would come on and if she would school us, if she would give us a tutorial on being sensitive to our colleagues, to our coworkers, to people on the street, to understanding, even I'm honest enough to say I had to understand even a lot of the stuff, Kwyn, that you talk about, the LGBTQ, I have no idea about it. And so I walk on eggshells talking to you and different people because it's never my intent to hurt people, but I do walk on eggshells trying to navigate my way through a conversation, and it is exhausting. And so I just ask if you would just educate us on being sensitive to the cause.
And from your perspective, from a young person's perspective, because as Yolanda said, us old heads or, Gen Zers are more sensitive to the way we speak to each other, the way that their environment, they're more sensitive to people and the environment and things like that. And as Yolanda said, we've worked for companies where, F a feeling and let's just get the work done and you're getting paid for this. So, let this happen. Now, as I have explained, I never had to worry about my feelings growing up because I was protected at home and never had to, I never took any kind of sensitivities beyond the beyond my doorstep at my mother's home. And so I really want to understand, how and why did this change occur, and where you stand, and how we can make other people more sensitive, but more open to what is going on, perhaps not in their own homes, but in their businesses as well, their day-to-day.
And finally, at the end of the day, I need the work done.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, well, let me start by saying that I am speaking from a privileged place. I have privilege as a young person of being a product, of being a result of not only Black people, but Black women particularly, who had to suffer in silence, who didn't have the privilege to actually say their mind, who didn't have the accessibility to actually speak up outside of fear of being fired, outside of fear of, raising children by themselves, outside of fear, just being attacked, like in general. And so the sensitivity, or I should say like the consciousness that I have now, is because I was privileged enough to be raised in an environment, raised by a mother who understood that emotions aren't a sign of weakness, and they're actually like the first sign that you're alive. And the inconvenience that we treat emotions is actually way more costly in the long run, because emotions are always going to surface up, especially like when you're doing business, especially when you're trying to work and get something done with somebody and you haven't actually talked about, the elephant in the room, or about that awkward situation. And I think specifically as Black women, we are always, always, always targeted because of our emotions, with the archetype of being the angry Black woman, or, to being a woman, and people talk about, oh, it's that time of the month, and, whatever. And people just make it seem as if emotions are always connected with weakness. And I always found that like very, very weird, just because everything we do is like so emotional, from music to art to science, like it's all really connected with emotions. And so I at least think when it comes to the work, in terms of any type of training, I would say the first lesson is to unlearn, really to kind of do like a reset. And I think that takes an actual acknowledgement of what you have been taught. And, you, Yolanda, and Sybil, you guys are very, very introspective and retrospective, because you guys talk about all the time, like how in this industry, how women have been treated, and how both of you guys have been treated, and what people told you in terms of the moves you had to make to get where you are. But the fact is that you actually you had to do it to get where you are. But right now, like, you guys don't actually have to do that anymore. And I think taking the time to unlearn that and recognize that me and Kwyn in my position, or Coy in her position, or Cameron in his position, like we don't have those same type of not obstacles, but that same type of ecosystem that we have to navigate. It's completely it's something completely different now. So that same type of like code switching, that same type of like sacrificing and circumcising who we are to shrink and to fit into spaces, like you guys unfortunately did that work already, where now we can come in as authentic and audacious and as loud and as emotional and sensitive and conscious as we are. And so when we talk about like different words, and especially because I write for a community that really has been at the forefront of people saying like, oh, I don't know how to pronounce somebody's pronouns, or whatever. I get it, it's a change, I understand. But with change, it's necessary when we just think about social justice, and it's necessary when we think about just overall compassion. It's the same type of change that white people had to do when we told them, hey, we don't want to be called the N-word anymore. We want to be called African Americans. Hey, actually, we want to be called Black. Hey, don't call this Mexican person this. Call them Latinx. Hey, and words are going to continue to change, but our hearts are the thing that has to go ahead and stay consistent. If we're going to say that we care about people, then we have to care about how I make you feel. So something that I've been focusing on lately is the term gaslighting. Have you guys heard the term gaslighting?
Yes.
Have you guys been gaslighted before? I'm pretty sure.
So I have in a personal situation, but not professionally.
Not in the workplace? Okay.
No.
Have you been gaslighted before, Yolanda?
I'm sure I have. I don't recognize it because I'm not that sensitive, because I don't care. I have an agenda. No, really,
Yeah.
I have an agenda that I'm trying to get to, and I figure out how to navigate my way to get to what I need to get done.
Can you explain to people what gaslighting is?
So the way that I understood it is somebody who makes you believe that, I don't want to say that you are crazy, but
no, but that is, I mean,
That's what they
it
say.
is a
That's where it comes from.
psychological
Yeah.
form
it's a psychological manipulation
Right.
that make people make you think that you're the problem. So
Right.
there was a post that I shared on my Facebook where they said, like, gaslighting responses in comparison to, emotional, empathetic responses. So when people say, I'm sorry you feel that way, like that's not actually a real apology in
Right.
comparison to saying that I'm sorry I made you feel that way, because it's taking.
But I would never say
ownership.
that, because I can't make you feel any kind of way. You are responsible. I am not responsible for your feelings.
I am responsible for my own feelings. Yes, but my feelings are a reaction to your action. So
But
it's not
don't react, respond.
even in a response, I still need something to respond to. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But see, Kwyn, I don't take responsibility for anybody's actions. I don't try to figure out how you feel or what you're thinking, because I don't have the information of what all you've been through.
Right.
So I can know how you feel. And
and you're not interested in getting all this information. You just want to get the work done.
Well, not only that, because I am kind.
I think you're a very kind person.
You are smart. You is important.
But there are certain things that I don't care about. For example, I love you, right?
It's going to be.
I don't care if you're queer or not. I don't care who you sleep with. Why is that important? And I tell you this because I had an incident with my niece, who she told me that she was asexual something.
Oh, asexual.
And I didn't understand. And I was like, oh, okay. And she's like, well, you're blowing me off. I was like, well, I'm not blowing you off. I don't care. Well, why don't you care? Well, because what difference does it make? Well, I need for you to care. Why?
She needed validation.
Why do I need to care about who you're sleeping with?
She exactly what Sybil said. She needs the validation. It's just like when somebody gives you big news and your response is like, okay, great. Like there should be
You're like, really? That's it?
Excitement, some type of celebration, something, because you're her family. Like, so who knows how long she had been sitting with that on her chest. And when she finally broke her silence and told you, and your response is just flatlining, like, what? She just was vulnerable. This is a very vulnerable moment for her,
But let me tell you what's for me, and this is where you need to teach me seriously. For me, I think the fact that I don't care what you do, I don't care who you with, I love you. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're doing, because the love that I have for you isn't contingent on who you sleep with. I think that's more precious.
But you didn't tell her that.
I did tell her that.
In just that way, because that sounds like...
Yes, yes. That's not what she wanted. She wanted me to understand her.
And you don't want to understand her.
Not that I don't care.
Okay, those are two different things.
Right.
Now, those are two different things that you're saying.
Okay.
And just to be fair, in terms of time, I want to come to some sort of not agreement and not a denouement here, but time is running out, so we got like a couple of minutes.
And I was gonna say also, like, when people talk about, oh, I don't see color. If you don't see my color, you don't see me.
Right.
So you have to see and understand about her queerness, because that is her.
Gotcha.
That's her. So like she needs to hear that, like, oh, I do care about that. I care about who you date. I do care about that. I'm excited for who you date. I'm excited to meet your partner.
I received that.
Because it takes...
That was good, that was good. I get it. I get it.
And so is it as opposed to, saying I'm Black, like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, you are. But as opposed to your sexuality, because it takes so much, because when you come out, I guess that it, with all the energy that it takes for you to share that with someone, you want an equal amount, if not greater, response and appreciation for all that it took for you to get there.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. I will digest that, because I am a compassionate person. I will digest and the example you used about if you don't see that I'm Black, you don't see me. That was very good to click for me. So thank you for that example.
No, thanks. And shout out to your niece. Asexual people are cool. You go, girl.
See,
Really?
that's what you were looking for.
Really?
That's what she was looking for.
She better go ahead with her bad asexual self. That's crazy.
Hello, asexual relative. How are you? Yay!
Right, just put a little A in
Would that be my open, Kwyn? Hey,
No.
asexual.
No, I mean, I think she'll laugh with you. If you guys have that humor, she'll laugh with you. I'm pretty sure my mom used to say jokes and stuff now too. But yeah, it is such a, I think we make it a bigger thing than it needs to be, just as human beings, when it really is so small.
Okay.
Just as people, like we make our sexuality, we make our gender, we make everything like such a big thing. It really isn't any of your business. But because we live in a society where they're criminalizing it, where they're ostracizing people, where people are, killing themselves because of it, and because they're politicizing our identity, we have to come into this space as fully as ourselves. Because it's like, hey, I need you to know, to my conservative grandfather, that I like women. I actually enjoy trans folks as well. So when you're spewing all this hate on Facebook, I need you to think, about your granddaughter. I need you to know that you have people in your family that you're talking about that you hate, that you despise, that you want, to send to hell. But it really isn't that big of a deal. I wish we did live in a society where I don't have to tell y'all nothing, but
well, what, you may still come to that in your life, in your lifetime. I think you will. And to close this out, I hope that you all have enjoyed the discussion. I hope you've gleaned something from it. I know I have. And
we got a lot of good comments. You're gonna have to do this again because we didn't get to any of the comments, and it was a lot that was said. So,
right.
Thank you for the opportunity, Sybil.
But Yolanda's acting like she's not the executive producer, so I have to be the one to say.
Somebody actually said that too, Sybil. Somebody said that.
I'm like, I ain't keeping time, so shoot.
Let's move on to what's trending, and this is a time, and in some of the latest news. Kwyn, you talked about going in some of your events. Do you have anything coming up?
Oh, I am performing in Chicago at Greater Rock Church Saturday, February 4th. And I also got asked to perform for Contextos, who teaches poetry in the Cook County Jail. I'm a fabulous poetry organization. They have an open mic called Hurt and Healing. So I got asked to say a poem for that same day at 1 p.m. Greater Rock Church is at from 10 a.m. to noon. And the open mic is at 1. So that's
for you.
Thanks for all the work that they do. I was like, wow, I'm so glad like poetry can go past in the penitentiary system. Like, thank you. Right.
Good for you, though. That's
awesome.
Great.
Congratulations. And when you win your Nobel Peace Prize, I need for you to say, well, when I was a writer with Yossi Media, Sybil and Yogi really, really saw me. Or something.
And when I am on the BET Award, Stephen Hill, thank you, Yolanda. Thank you, Stephen Hill. Thank you, Myra J, for all of your help and conditioning for me as a poet. That's what I'm trying to get to them BET Awards.
It's happening, Kwyn. It's happening. Put
it out there. Absolutely. And Kwyn, also, anybody you want to say hello to?
Oh, hello, Ashley, baby. I love you so much. And hello to your grandmother. Thank you so much. And you guys, Ashley has been under the weather for a long time now. That's practically like all of January. So I'm really grateful that the doctors at Northwestern Hospital have been finally giving her some medicine that's making everything better. But your grandmother, Marcella, she's a real one for coming down all the way from Kansas City, Missouri, and being with you during this time, knowing that I can't take off work. Even after her birthday was January 13th, and she instantly got back on the plane to go see her granddaughter. So shout out to you. You're a grandmother of a lifetime outside my own grandmother, who was grandmother of eternity. But thank you for all that you do. Thank you for loving on her. And I hope you guys are enjoying the show as first-time viewers.
Oh, well, come on back, Kansas City, Mo. We appreciate that. Even though it's the wrong Kansas City, because my family is Kansas City, Kansas. Thank you very much.
I love the shade. I'm here for it.
So, Kwyn, this story came...
Hold on one second, Sybil. People are asking about your album. Where can people get it?
Oh,
You're getting a lot of love about your album.
oh, okay, yeah. You can get it everywhere on Apple Music, on Spotify, and even on YouTube.
And
Yes, ma'am,
remind people the title.
yes, it's called And She Worthy. And She Worthy, and it's my full name, Kwyn Townsend Riley. And you can get it anywhere, Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. And if you go to my website at Kwyn Elizabeth, which is, my name right here, KWYN Elizabeth.com, you'll see all my things there.
Great.
So, yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
All
Sorry,
right.
Sybil.
That's okay. We got time. Or not. Kwyn, this story came down today. Pope Francis criticized laws that criminalize homosexuality as unjust. He says homosexuality is not a crime, but ... He says it is a sin. Yeah. Yeah. He acknowledged that Catholic bishops in some parts of the world support laws that criminalize homosexuality or discriminate against LGBTQ people. He himself referred to the issue in terms of sin, and he attributed such attitudes to cultural backgrounds, said bishops in particular need to undergo a process of change to recognize the dignity of everyone, which is kind of like what we were talking about in terms of our previous discussion. Bishops have to have a process of conversion, which I think is really an interesting use of words when you think about conversion therapy for people. And they should apply tenderness, please, as God has for each one of us. What do you think?
Cameron had sent that to me, and I said, but he still says the sin. It's just, there's so much contradictions, and I feel like he really is just trying to navigate this gray area. I still think this is the first pope that said something like this, so I understand the severity and the heaviness of it, but words really do matter. And the fact that he said, "Oh, we understand the dignity of every human being," even though that's like literally what Jesus said and did.
Right?
They're like, "Oh, but it's still a sin," and that's literally like not what Jesus said and did. So I'm not Catholic, so I don't care what this means.
I don't know. You have to care.
It's who you are.
I do care about everyone. I will affirm him in all the work that he does. Yeah. But I do not like people that try to be on the both sides. I just choose a side.
His comments were hailed by gay rights advocates as a milestone. They're first uttered by a pope, as you said, about such laws. 67 countries or jurisdictions worldwide criminalize consensual same-sex sexual activity, 11 of which can or do impose the death penalty. That's according to the Human Dignity Trust, which works to end such laws. He made these comments ahead of a trip to Africa, where the laws are common as they are in the Middle East. Many date from British colonial times or inspired by Islamic law. And so it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. And not that it'll happen during his ruling or his term as Pope, although there is more consideration that he may retire as the previous Pope did. But it'll be interesting to see what changes come about, especially as if they get younger popes or younger cardinals to be considered for Pope, and how that changes, and if they are able to bring about those changes as the worldwide community has.
Because you mentioned the separation between church and state, and that's why I laughed, because I don't think literally there is a separation, and we really do follow, or I think follow the same type of teachings under Christianity, and we apply it to the same laws within our government.
They say, the Judeo-Christian laws, and it really does apply to, we pledge allegiance, indivisible under God, so it's like.
So I don't know why he thought to say that as much and then to say the other thing. So
right.
It's just
he's hedging. He
was this close. Close to being invited. No, he's not invited.
We talked about the violence that has been so rampant in our country. We have not completed the month of January, and already we've had almost double the amount of days in which we've had in January, doubled the amount of people killed in mass murders. The shooting suspects in the Half Moon Bay killings that took place over the weekend, he targeted specific people. The 66-year-old man suspected of killing 4 people at a California mushroom farm he worked at and 3 others at another nearby site Monday had been accused of trying to suffocate and threatening to kill a former coworker at another job nearly a decade ago. So they have shown a pattern and a history here. Court records show that the suspect, identified by authorities as Chun-Li Zhao, was subject to a temporary restraining order after a former coworker and roommate accused him of attacking and threatening him in 2013. The man who worked with him at a restaurant and lived with him in a San Jose apartment wrote in a court declaration that his violent behavior started after he quit the job in which they worked together at this restaurant in March of 2013. And they said a couple of days later that the man who is now accused of this came into his roommate's room and asked for his salary. Wang told him to pick it up at the restaurant, and he said he would kill him. And then took a pillow and started to cover his face and suffocate him. So the pattern is there. Absolutely, how this case is going to go forward. The difference with this, as opposed to the Chinese ballroom dance shooting, is that man killed himself. The 70-something-year-old man killed himself. And so, but there was also his ex-wife showed that there was a pattern, and they believe that she was one of the reasons why he went to this place where they met, perhaps, as well as he used to be an instructor there, a dance instructor. And so going back to the beginning of where all of this, his love affair apparently with this woman began, and inflicting this horrific violence upon innocent people.
So Sybil, my comment, it goes back. The reason why I want to be more sensitive, and the reason why I know that I need to care about my niece's sexuality, is it does contribute to people's mental state. And so I think
workplace, yeah, sure.
Yeah, if we are more aware of people's mental state, and if we could help them process whatever's going on in their head better and be more accepting and loving and kind and all of those adjectives, then because when we do, and I know that we don't like to, I know that liberals don't want to put the mental illness with the guns, that, conservatives do that.
Conservatives do that, yeah.
Yeah, and so we don't like to say that, but
it is a part of it.
It is. It is a part of it. When you go do something like that, what mental state? And then you turn the gun on yourself?
Well,
I know if he didn't have the gun, all the people wouldn't be shot. So if the gun was eliminated, I get that. But still, the mental state that a lot of people are in these days, we really, really have to attend.
But the hard-hearted person in me says you would alleviate a lot of pain if you would just do it to yourself and eliminate the killing of dozens of people.
So, but when you're not in your right mental state, you don't process like that.
And I'm kind of toying around with an article because the FBI has come up with some suggestions regarding dealing with people and their mental state, and looking at the pattern, if you will, of people who been a part of these mass murders. It's
but by the grace of God,
amen.
Any of us,
amen. As we are coming to the close of this segment, I also another story for Kwyn. This happened in Evanston, Illinois, a town that I know a little bit about. The steering wheel locks for Kia and Hyundai car owners have been scooped up. It's a glitch in Hyundai vehicles manufactured before last year has made them a prime target for car thieves. So Evanston, Illinois police had no trouble getting people to come in when they offered free locking devices to the Hyundai owners. The first of the free steering wheel locks for Evanston Hyundai owners were given away a week ago. And the commander put out the word that Hyundai had made almost 100 free locks, steering wheel locks available. By the next day, they were already spoken for. The rise in thefts in Hyundais and Kias had been growing since a TikTok posting showed how people spread the word that you could hotwire the cars by putting a USB into the steering column of some models.
Oh, wow.
And the police Daily Bulletin reported that there were 7 car thefts or attempted car thefts in Evanston. And out of that 7, 3 of them were Kias and Hyundais. So please be careful if they offer them. Take them up on it. And it's the old school lock. You know, my aunt used to have this where you put the lock on your steering wheel column, and it extends down to another part of the car, like the brake or the gas pedal. And so this will stop it until you can get your car fixed by Hyundai and Kia.
Yeah, I don't have that. I have a 2021 Kia Soul, but I don't know if anybody would actually want to steal my car because it's dirty. And I also have some students that told me that they've been stealing Kia Souls, and I was like, why would somebody want my box of a car? Out of all these beautiful cars, Virginia has Teslas and all those other cars with the window, with the roof down. I don't know why.
I love the Kia Soul. I went looking at a Kia Soul a couple of weeks ago.
I've rented those. Those are fun. And you don't forget what kind of car you're driving when you're in a parking lot.
No, those are cute cars.
I just don't know why. If I was a robber, I would go all the way to steal a Kia Soul.
If you were a robber, you would go for what's the easiest and what you can get for the parts, not whether they're clean or dirty.
You would just see my car like, dang, she need her car. And
right.
Somebody else, so.
Let's move to entertainment, and I am still ticked off about the Academy Award nominations. Yes, and I'll go all the way till the day of the awards are given out. And the family of Emmett Till, Whoopi Goldberg, who was the producer of the movie, react to the snub. Also, like The Woman King, which was also snubbed. Directed by a Black woman, starring a Black woman. And Till was shut out of the nominations for the upcoming awards ceremony and prompted a statement from its director, a Black woman, Chinwe Chukwu. And the woman who portrayed Mamie Till Mobley is Danielle Deadweiler, and she was flat out amazing. Gave a great performance. She had received a number of nominations in other award ceremonies, but for the big one, for the Oscars, she was ignored. And the only Black woman, I believe, was Angela Bassett, supporting role, which many believe she will get for the Queen Ramumba in the Black Panther sequel. And not even the director, Ryan Coogler, was nominated for Best Director or Best Movie. And this is one of those moments where I'm not sensitive about being ignored, but sometimes it just really pisses you off ticks you off that Black women are not seen. They're not recognized. And even with all the greatness of Michelle Obama and other great Black women in this country, it just saddens me that with these people who have worked so hard, done so much to get to this point, to create, to write, to direct, to act, and put these things on screen, and nothing.
And what saddens me, Sybil, is that we need their validation.
And that's what Damon said too. That's what Damon said. Let's go for the NAACP.
Yes.
And those things.
Them. So don't recognize me. I don't need your recognition.
Well, I recognize them by giving them my money when I go see the movie.
Right.
I was also interested to see that Nope didn't even make it on there at all. Either Jordan Peele.
Nope, got nothing. But I'm not mad because I hate monkey movies. So
it's not a monkey movie.
She didn't even see it, Kwyn. She didn't even see it.
No, I saw the monkey and I was like, nope, don't.
Man, that's like the same people. I literally had to convince some people to go see A Woman King and even watch the show. I don't know if you guys saw it, Kindred on Hulu. Because there are some Black people who just refuse to watch slavery shows. Slavery films, or anything with like the African diaspora, and I'm like, dang, like when did we become like this type of genre of people? But
no more slave movies, no more. And I'm like, it's about our history. Why, and the fact that these are strong Black women and showing another side of us. Like Mamie Till Mobley, she was the person, the spark that started the civil rights movement.
Literally, yeah.
She was the one.
And she did some really good acting in that too.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That happened yesterday. But even with that, Kwyn, I still don't understand why we put so much emphasis on how they recognized us.
Did they have a whole blackout at the Oscars or Oscars So White?
Yeah.
They tried to, I think Jada Pinkett started that.
And I started a hashtag last night because I was so ticked off about this. Oscars so clueless. Even where they brought people in, brought people of all color and sexualities and things like that to be a part of the Motion Picture Academy. Whoopi Goldberg is a part of the Academy, and they did this to her. It was like, if they'll do it to Whoopi, what chances do other people have?
If we're gonna defund like the social capital from these white Eurocentric standards, then we have to defund them all. We have to defund from the Oscars, from the Songwriters Hall of Fame, from everything that is created by these white people. Because we can't say in 1 year y'all did it right and the next year you did it wrong.
Yeah. And other people are blaming Will Smith. That the fight between him and Chris Rock led to them. The blackout of.
Well, the fact that African Americans are such huge entertainment consumers, like we consume entertainment more than any other group. Mm-hmm. So what we need to do is don't pay attention to the Oscars, don't pay attention to the Grammys, put more into the NAACP Image Awards, into the BET Awards. If we support us, if we stop saying, oh, that's black, and we don't pay attention to the black stuff, but we give more credence to what the white folks say, we probably would be more happier if we would support our own.
Go ahead, Sojourner. Okay. All right, Harriet. And while we're talking about it, let's get our dues paid to the NAACP and to the Urban League and other organizations like that.
Well, now you're talking something else.
They're actually going to have
a whole other thing.
My friend, she works for the NAACP out here in DC, and they're actually going to have a protest on the Supreme Court Capitol steps February 28th for student loan debt. So y'all know I'll be there.
Oh, awesome. So you got a report from there for us, okay?
Oh, yes, I need y'all to forgive me, just like Jesus did.
Well, Joe's a good Catholic boy. He will follow the word and the path of Jesus Christ. So it is time for us to close with our daily inspiration and Yogi's Jewel. Go.
I'm
kidding.
That was good, Sybil. Tell me what greatness I spoke today.
Use your creativity to liberate your soul. Oh. So inhale creativity. And I'm not so sure about the exhaling, but exhale sterility.
I said sterile, being sterile.
I know, but you have to kind of match up creativity and
with the idity.
The idity, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. But get rid of sterility. Okay. Yeah. But inhale creativity for sure, and exhale whatever is the opposite of that, whatever stymies you.
Liberate your soul. Creativity, it does. When you're able to be creative, when you're able to tap into your creativity, you can get a whole lot of other stuff done. You can. I know. Well, for me, when I'm able to read, because I get so caught up into my everyday life that when I put that aside and I write, or I listen to some music, or I really allow my creativity to open up, then I can go back and get other stuff done. Mm-hmm. Try it.
And I think Kwyn, our other creative soul here, would agree with you.
100%.
There you go.
I like the mental unclogging.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right. Usually a good beer does that for me. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sybil, for letting me join you. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought it was a lot of fun, and we will revisit that discussion, Kwyn. I promise.
Okay?
Because we want to get people's feedback on that. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, or afternoon. Aloha.